Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. I am Nur-Nisah MACARONSING and I'm going to be talking about the interaction process analysis or IPA. So I am a first year student of the BS Nursing of MSU Main Campus. So IPA is a coding scheme that prescribes the process of utilizing and analyzing acts between persons that are communicating through conversation. So it is basically a technique for studying the interaction generated in a small group. So yung focus niya is the function of the act or yung complete thought ng act na generate sa isang small group. It was developed by an American social psychologist named Robert F. Bales, who introduced it in 1950 through his book titled Interaction Process Analysis. And this IPA was developed in the middle of the 20th century. So si Robert Bales, ang goal niya was to study the behaviors and or interaction of a small group where observers of the said interaction process record the actions of each member into certain categories. So, yung interaction process analysis, meron siyang 12 categories. So, before we move on to that, I'm going to give an example scenario. So, usually when we are promoting health, meron niyang mga programs, different types of programs. We have seminars, trainings, webinars, mga ganyan. And usually, there are activities in those programs where the participants are required to group themselves to present a report, evaluation, assessment, or their understanding about the seminar. So, I'm going to focus on that situation na nakagroup yung mga tao or participants sa isang health education program. Or pwede rin na i-comply natin siya sa situation where an organization who facilitates a health education program. So, first category is the shows solidarity. So, an act that shows solidarity is an act where the individual raises the status of others or provide help and rewards. So, example nito is when an organization who facilitates a what they call that health promotion programs, like for example about dengue outbreak in a community. So, kapag one person in that organization faces a problem about, for example, siya yung assigned doon sa technicalities, for example, setting up the projector or making the PowerPoint. Nagka-problem siya in setting up the PowerPoint dun sa community kasi mahangin. So, another member of the organization provides help or provides assistance to make the projector work during the medical mission. So that's an act that shows solidarity, the act of providing help. So another category is an act that shows antagonism. It is when the individual or the observed person degrades the status of others and defend or assert his or herself. So acts na example are under this category are, di ba, for example, in that seminar, when you are in a group, tapos you encountered a problem during the making of presentation. For example, na-corrupt yung PPT. So, there are tendencies na some members of the group blame the person in charge of the PPT. So, the act of blaming is an act that shows antagonism. Other acts also are when you are belittling others or being sarcastic when talking to other people. So next, okay, so another category is when an act shows tension release. So this is when the observed person or the individual laughs and says jokes or shows satisfaction. So these are acts na merong hidden meaning or nag-i-imply ng emotional implication. So, example niya is, kapag in a joke way, binablame ng person, binablame ng isang member ng group yung isang person na hindi nag-agree sa kanya, causing the group to, the presentation of the group to be not successful. So, in a joke way, like, ginamock niya, parang ganon. So, another category is when the act shows tension. So, this is when the observed person asks for help or withdraws from the situation. So, these are acts that exhibits conflict between submission and non-conformity. Pero, hindi siya show ng negative feeling towards another person. So, parang when this occurs kapag may conflict, diba? So, to show tension, usually, laughter reduces the tension. Pero, merong mga laughters na nag-show, na sign siya ng tension. So, kapag hindi nag-agree yung two people, di ba, usually, may reaction yung person na hindi nag-agree to laugh, like have that embarrassed laughter or the tense laughter while saying the words of disagreement dun sa idea ng another person. So, that's an act that shows tension. Another category is an act that shows agreement. So, this is when the observed person indicates passive acceptance, understanding, or compliance. So, this occurs during, for example, in an organization or in a small group presenting in a health promotion program. Tapos, may person na nagsasuggest ng idea or nagsasalita or yung leader nila. Tapos, yung another person nag-agree. Like, nagnanod or nagsasay na, oh, I get your point. So, those are actions that shows agreement. Next is an action that shows disagreement, yung opposite naman niya. So, it is when the individual present state of passive rejection or withholds help. So, these actions are kapag hindi ka nag-disagree doon sa person, pero doon ka hindi siya yung doon ka nag-disagree sa person, doon ka nag-disagree sa idea ng person. Pero, the negative feeling is not strong enough. Kasi if it is strong enough, hindi na siya considered act of disagreement. Considered siya na it's going to be act of antagonism, an act that shows antagonism. So, these actions, actions that shows disagreement are actions, yung initial reaction natin kapag hindi tayo agree doon sa idea ng isang person. Pero we do not show it to them. So another category is an act that provides suggestion. So it is when the observed person provides direction and implies autonomy for others. So it is usually, makikita natin to siya sa mga organization or small groups na, di ba meron silang mga leader. Then the leader usually leads the direction of the communication or the flow of the communication or discussion. So usually, nakikita natin to kapag after na-tackle na yung another problem, sasabihin na naman ng leader yung another problem, i-mention na naman niya. Or, mag-mention naman siya ng mga points na kailangan i-take into account. So, another category is an act that asks suggestion. So, it is when the individual asks for direction or possible ways of action. So, these are acts that indicate a feeling of confusion or uncertainty. Usually, ito yung mga problem-solving questions. Usually, example na is, what do you think we should do about that? Or, what do you think we should do about the PowerPoint presentation? Parang ganon. So, next is when the act. So, another category is an act that provides opinion. So, it is when the individual provides evaluation, analysis, feelings, or wishes. So, ito yung mga acts na dapat serious. Like, it talks about the administrative policies or the law, the legislative, mga ganun, na mga topics. So it could also include the uh, act of understanding. For example, a person suggesting an idea, tapos you will say, I believe I see your point, tapos you're going to provide your own opinion about it, about this serious topic. So next is when the act asks for opinion. So it is when the observed person asks for evaluation, analysis, or expression of feeling. So these acts may include a request for diagnosis of a situation or reaction to an idea. Usually, these questions shows, requires an answer that are uh, disagreement or agreement answers. So example questions of this are, what would you like to have a committee work on that? So hindi siya suggestion, pero opinion mo siya. Like, you think that would be better for the group. So next is when the act provides orientation. So it is when the observed person provides information, repeats, confirms, or clarifies the information. So these are acts that, for example, mga reports that are factual, testable, or can be confirmed by observation. So examples niya are reports on problem situations, confronting the group. So those are the, there's last but not the least, the act that asks for orientation. So it is when the observed person asks for information, repetition, and confirmation. So this act requires an answer based on experience, observation, or empirical research. Example niya is, what day of the month is it? Or, I'm not sure of the exact date. So all of these may be combined in various ways, depending on the researcher who used IPA approach. The combination is for the reason of having a defined and elaborate categorizing the interactions of a small group. So IPA approach may help in identifying and analyzing issues present during the interaction of the group. For example, may problem sila sa communication, decision making, or the unity of the group. So this presentation is only a general overview of what is IPA approach, as the next presenter of this webinar will be discussing the detailed or on how the IPA approach was utilized in a nurse-patient interaction through what we call as process recording.